Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, John Cena, and today we're going to be doing a clan 2v2 battle. I'm going to be the green Confederate player. My ally, Dr. Kaffu, is going to be the blue Confederate player. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to be facing off against two pretty strong resistance players. So we have a pretty exciting matchup lined up here. So we can see that we're off to an okay start so far. I'm teching up faster than Dr. Kaffu. I'm going to go ahead and produce a vertex here just to get a scout onto the red and yellow players. Let's see what red and yellow are up to. We can see that yellow is teching up to HQ4 at this time, and red is still HQ3 but has very well developed infrastructure. Both red and yellow look like they know what they are doing, so we're in for a tough fight here. So we can see that factories are starting to go up for both the red and yellow player. They are potentially both going for JCP ground builds. I'm going for HQ4, of course. Dr. Kaffu is still HQ3 at this time. My plan is to go for a combination of Thors and hammer tanks, a few typhoons for anti-air, and a shield generator to cover my units. So we can see there's a few coyotes on the map there. That's what the yellow player was using to get early map control. So Dr. Kaffu is going to go ahead and try to get that second large resource container. We lost the first one to the resistance side. So Kaffu's only got one fortress at this time. Lots of coyotes in the mix there. Definitely enough to outnumber that fortress. Porcupines are starting to move in as well. This fortress is already taking some heavy damage, and now Jaguar tanks move in to finish off the fortress. So it looks like we're not going to be able to get that large resource container. Now I am continuing to develop my ground army and get Thors out, but Dr. Kaffu actually lost internet connection during this battle, so at the moment Dr. Kaffu is not doing anything due to that internet lost. So we get another scout onto the red player. Red and yellow are now both HQ4 in production of armies. Looks like red's going to go for a pretty heavy aviation build with the double airfields. So we need to take care of those airfields. I've got 3 Thors so far, and I'm going to go ahead and send those Thors over. Gold attack boost gets thrown on, and we're going to level one of the airfield. We don't get any of the Hawks though. We are going to hit that second airfield. It takes a lot of damage, and now I'm going to send my vertex over to take care of the airfield. And so 2 airfields both down. I'm going to micro my vertex and my Thors back. The vertex escapes relatively unharmed. I do lose a Thor in the process. Looks like a couple Hawks get taken out by my typhoons. So at this point, Dr. Kaffu still struggling with the internet piece. JCP trying to move in to counterattack. I'm going to drop a bunch of walls to defend here. And I actually thought we were going to potentially lose the game at this point. So I'm just waiting for the JCP to just roll through my defenses. The walls are continuing to build, and it looks like the JCP is actually going to retreat. So we've got ourselves some time bought. I'm going to be able to continue to produce more Thors. Now I've got 4 Thors on the battlefield. And we're going to go ahead and launch another wave of bombing. So let's go ahead and see what we hit here. So we're going to hit the level 2 AV factory. So nice pick up there. And we're going to take out a level 3 special vehicle factory. So now we're starting to cripple some of the production for the red player. Trying to keep red under pressure here so that we don't let them get too large of armies. That's Dr. Kaffu letting me know that his network failed, and that's why he was not able to do anything for a little bit. We scored a direct bombing hit onto the red player there. Red was able to secure a 3rd large resource container. So red and yellow so far, they've been getting all of the large resource containers. My hammer tanks move in. No boost on them so far, but they're able to actually fight the red player's vehicles pretty well here. So big fog army moving in. Kaffu's got a lot of torrents though, so some nice splash damage onto those vehicles there. It's going to come in handy. I'm going to lose the shield generator. Gold attack boost gets thrown on. The force fire is going to hit my tanks though. I need to pull back my tanks. I'm going to move back my hammer tanks and let Kaffu's torrents do the job and tank the damage. So it looks like they're getting some more fire onto the chameleon armies there. The resistance side trying to see if they can maneuver around. I've got my Thors coming in. Here comes the Thors for a bombing run. They're going to score a hit onto part of the army there. And looks like the chameleons are gone now. So now my hammer tanks are going to be able to clean up the rest of these jaguar tanks very nicely. So we're going to continue to produce more vehicles here and more Thors. So between the two of us, I'm going to go for more of the aviation build with some ground, while Kaffu is going for full ground. And here we go, Thors moving back in. We're going to hit 2 of these airfields here. Really nice hits on those airfields this time. We take out 4 Hawks in the process along with 2 airfields. We are going to lose a couple of the Thors. Looks like my Thors came out okay. We lost a few hammer tanks as I was trying to launch a coordinated assault there. So I'm just allowing Kaffu to continue to build his ground army since he lost his internet connection. And we can see that these torrents now are firing onto that entrance there. Kaffu is now going to move his ground army onto the top of the hill there for some map control. I think this is a really nice move. We need to get some combat initiative here to turn the tide of the battle. So Zeus tanks tanking the damage while the torrents dish out the damage. And we can see that I'm just continuing to kind of amass units slowly but surely, as well as amass resources. And here we go, another bomb run from the Thors. Thors now moving in. We're going to score a direct hit on the level 3 assault factory, but I'm going to lose both Thors in the process. So I'm going to need to replenish my command points there. Hammer tanks moving in to counter this JCP army. And we can see the JCP army is pretty large here. It's kind of hard to tell how many tanks are in there, but we are taking care of those vehicles pretty nicely. And so it looks like Dr. Kaffu is going to try and take some initiative on the battlefield and launch an assault on the red player. This chameleon army, though, is putting me under some pressure. I'm going to drop some walls to help with the defense here. Just trying to buy time for my Thors to reload so they can help with the defense. Hawks coming in from the red player to try and defend, but those Typhoons are dishing out a lot of damage against the Hawks. And Kaffu is doing a good job so far. Kaffu is going to need to dig past those walls, though. The last Hawk gets cleaned up from the red player. Those torrents are dishing out tons of damage, and red's in a little bit of a pressure situation now. We've turned the tide of the battle a little bit, and now Kaffu is starting to work his way into some of the production. This is a really good move from Kaffu. Yellow's starting to move in with a Jaguar Chameleon army, and now Kaffu is going to be cut off. We can see I'm HQ5 at this point, going for the same build, mass vehicles with some Thors to support. And now Kaffu's having to fight on 2 sides. Kaffu does not have the firepower to do this alone. Got some Thors moving in. We're going to try and hit the vehicles from the resistance side, but the Thors took way too long to get there. And so we're not going to be able to score some nice hits. These 2 Thors here aimed very poorly. We were not able to get a good hit onto the moving army. Kaffu, meanwhile, continued to move onto red. So red is now essentially out of aviation, and red knows those airfields are not of any use. So red is actually going to go ahead and self-destruct those airfields. So now Kaffu's got 3 Zeus and 1 Typhoon in the back of red's base, but it's not going to be able to do much. These Jaguar tanks with the Chameleon have cornered this small contingent, and these forces are going to get cleaned up. So we can see that we've just lost the last bits of units there. We can see that there's also a couple Jaguar tanks that are going to clean up a Typhoon there. I'm just continuing to replenish my ground army. I've got 2 separate airfields with aviation. I still have 1 Vertex for scouting as needed. And we can see that there's potentially a Chameleon army moving back in. We're going to throw on a gold attack boost for another bombing run here. Chameleon army is moving in at the same time. Here come the Thors. We take out 1 assault vehicle factory. The second assault vehicle factory, though, barely stays alive. Here comes a large Chameleon army, though, moving on to Dr. Kaffu's base. Kaffu's in a little bit of a pressure situation here. Kaffu does not have enough units to defend this by himself. And I'm going to need to move my ground army in. Here comes some Thors to try and help out. We only score a glancing hit at the side of the Chameleon fog there. So these Jaguar tanks are now moving on to the production for Kaffu. We need to try and save these factories as much as possible. Kaffu is still trying to produce units to help with the defense. Here comes 1 Thor. It's going to score a direct hit onto those vehicles there. We're going to score a couple vehicles there. And now my hammer tanks have arrived to help with the defense. And now with the hammer tanks in the mix, this is going to be no problem to clean up the rest of these forces. So we can see that if you look at my command point counter, I am at very close to max command points for HQ5. Meanwhile, red and yellow are continuing to struggle to break through with the offense. We level another vehicle factory, and we do some heavy damage to one of those other factories from the yellow player. So we're going to launch another flight of Thors here. This time we're aiming straight for those special vehicle factory and the assault vehicle factory. I tried to take out both. I wasn't able to take out both, but that is a lot of damage, so yellow's going to have to waste resources to repair the factories. That's still going to be a small win for us. These continuous bombing runs from the Thors are starting to take a toll on the resistance players. We're going to launch an attack here with the shield generator and hammer tanks straight into the fog. I saw that yellow does not have that large of an army, so I want to take advantage of the size advantage for my army. And we're going to be able to clean up yellow's army very nicely. We do lose a few hammer tanks, but I've got plenty of resources to replace my hammer tanks. So we just want to keep some pressure on the red and yellow player, try to keep them stressed out as I continue to regroup here and rebuild my army and just wait for my Thors. Another flight of Thors coming in. We're going to take out that level 3 assault factory. I used 3 Thors to do the job this time. And now we can see that yellow has a very small ground army at this point. There's only a couple Jaguar tanks. We're finally going to take care of these coyotes that have been constantly stealing resources on the battlefield. And now we're going to steal that large container for ourselves, but more importantly, launch a counterattack here. We're at the side of yellow's base now. Yellow has practically no ground army to defend with. So yellow's going to lose that level 3 assault vehicle factory and a couple power plants here. And now yellow's in big trouble. Yellow needs to move in some forces or get some help from their ally. Shield generator gets thrown on. Tanks are starting to move in. We see chameleon fog, but I'm going to gamble here. I don't think there's that many vehicles in the fog. And my gamble is correct. There's not that many Jaguar tanks in the fog here. Yellow's in big trouble now. There's no forces to defend effectively. Red's starting to come in for the rescue. I'm starting to clean up some critical infrastructure here for the yellow player. We can see yellow's got some power deficits with that lightning bolt symbol. Meanwhile, Dr. Kaffu is launching a coordinated assault on the red player. So exerting some pressure on the red player on the side there. We see Zeus and Torrents combined. And this is going to be a nice army to move into, just put pressure on this red player. Shield generator supporting Kaffu's army as well. This is a strong army that the resistance side has to fight against. And these Torrents are continuing to dish out damage. Here come the Thors once again. Another hit on the factories. So we take out 2 factories and heavily damage that level 3 special vehicle factory. Yellow's trying to rebuild infrastructure to get back into the game. Kaffu is continuing to exert pressure on the red player. Meanwhile, look at how many hammer tanks I have. Lots of hammer tanks. Shield generator to support. Looks like the resistance side is getting pretty desperate. They are spamming grenadiers now. We see red still got a respectable amount of Jaguar tanks left for defense, but they have lost so many factories and have been so delayed in production that this is the last of their ground troops. If we can keep the pressure up, it's going to be a good game for the red and yellow player. My hammer tanks are going to retreat. I have no need to commit fully with my ground troops. Kaffu is going to be doing some work here on the side here with the Zeus tanks and the Torrents. And this is forcing red to reposition their ground army. And look at the splash damage from the Torrents. So much damage being done to those tanks. And now I'm going to move in my hammer tanks as well. I'm exerting pressure at the front while Kaffu is attacking from the side. And this is not looking good for the resistance side at all. The red and yellow players are struggling to get back into the game. Red's trying to rebuild at the side there. We see red starting to lose some factories there again. Thors coming in once again. I'm going to take out the barracks. And red has really nothing to work with except for a couple barracks in the back. Level 3 special factory goes down. We can see red's HQ5, but they're going to self-destruct. Red knows this is the end for them. And this is pretty much good game at this point. The rest of this game is going to be just Kaffu and I cleaning up the red and yellow players. Alright, hopefully you all really enjoyed this battle. This is one of my first battles really effectively using Thors and hammer tanks combined. I anticipate this will happen more often. Good luck in your battles. We will see you in the next one.